Hi everyone, this is Sean. If you guys can do me a huge favor and please press the like button, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I appreciate all of the dialogue, all of the comments that come in every single day. Guys and gals, in today's video, I'm going to be addressing marijuana use for those of you who are interested in applying to become a law enforcement officer. I know that there's some people on this channel who use marijuana on a daily basis, sometimes a weekly basis. Some of you haven't used marijuana in 10 years or 20 years, sometimes a year, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 3 months. And some of you have watched my video that I made earlier last year where I discussed the top qualifiers for those of you who are applying to become a police officer. And there's a whole list of comments that are under the video. There's actually a lot of comments, guys. This is actually one of my most popular videos, and a lot of people are asking me about marijuana use. What's the time frame? How long do they have to wait in order to apply? So this is my disclaimer. I'm in California. Because I'm in California, my understanding of professional standards, my understanding of laws revolve around California. But do keep in mind that I'm not an attorney, and it's not legal advice. It's also not professional advice. I know that many of you want to become law enforcement officers. I'm not guiding you a certain path. This is just my personal thoughts, my opinion, based on my limited experiences, so to speak. So I'll say this: it just depends on where do you want to work. If you are in a state that allows recreational marijuana use and even medical marijuana use, then law enforcement agencies are going to be a little bit more lenient with you. If you live in a state where marijuana is against the law federally and on the state level, they're not going to be as lenient on marijuana use as compared to other jurisdictions in other states. So let's clear the air on that. Now, California, we are more liberal when it comes, when it comes down to everything. But especially marijuana use, they're very liberal. And it just depends on the agency. There's agencies where you have to not use marijuana for a whole year. There's other agencies that are 2 years. Other agencies that are 3 years. Some agencies are 3 months. I don't know of any agencies that allow you to use marijuana off duty. Right now, I can't think of anything. So for the most part, you're looking at anywhere between 1 to 3 years. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over. It just depends on the agency. Now, this is what I just don't understand. First off, this is my self-admission. I have never used any illegal drug. I have never used marijuana ever in my life. It's not helpful to law enforcement agencies who are having problems recruiting when they keep disqualifying people because of marijuana use. I believe that marijuana has its place in society. A lot of people who suffer from post-traumatic stress use marijuana to calm their nerves, and some are able to do so without the intoxicating effect. I believe that as long as you're able to show up to work not intoxicated, irrespective if you are a police officer or you want to be a police officer or any citizen, I believe that you should be allowed to. There's case studies of medicinal uses. I suppose the argument for those agencies who don't want to hire anybody with a history of marijuana is that if you use it in the past, you're most likely going to use it on duty or in the near future. I'm not too sure that argument has a lot of weight. I would disagree. I would also say this, that one of the arguments that are pretty much viable is that if you get into an officer-involved shooting, a lethal force encounter, or a horrible traffic collision, and blood or urine needs to be drawn, well, there's going to be traces of THC levels. And it doesn't matter really if you're under the influence at the time of the collision or the time of the shooting. It just shows up in your blood or in your urine that you had traces of THC. So to other people, they're going to think that you're under the influence. Now, obviously, you need a trained person to assess the sobriety level of that officer. You absolutely need that. That's the fairest way to go. But I believe that that's the argument, is the whole drug testing issue. That's the issue well, maybe have them not use marijuana 2 months or 3 months, and then allow them to apply. Because what law enforcement is essentially doing is they're disqualifying a lot of qualified people, guys. There's a lot of guys that are coming out of the military that use marijuana without the intoxicating effect to calm their nerves. There's a lot of qualified people who have traumatic experiences who use marijuana on a regular basis. They'll skip it. They'll skip using it when they know they have to go to work, or they'll sober up and they'll use it responsibly. And we're losing a lot of candidates like that. The candidate pool is shrunk in law enforcement. I think we need to expand it as well. Now, obviously, what we need to do is disqualify those applicants who are continuously intoxicated, irrespective if it's alcohol or marijuana use. We need to get rid of those candidates. They don't belong in law enforcement. They need to sober up. If you're one of these people, once you sober up, then apply, because all the problems are going to just get worse once you're in law enforcement, when you're working a high-stress job. So square that away, and then I believe that you should apply. So in summary, there's no set rules or policy or laws that I could think of. In California, marijuana use actually isn't an automatic disqualifier. It's not one of those felonies. It just depends on the agency. What I'm seeing out there is anywhere between 1 to 3 years of no marijuana use. Some agencies, I believe, are 3 months. Some might be 6 months. You have to really search for those out there. If you could prevent it, don't use marijuana. If you really want to get into law enforcement, if you can use something else to calm your nerves, try that. Especially if your dream is to be a law enforcement officer. That is my recommendation. And what also gets me, this is just one last issue I want to bring up, is that a lot of these marijuana use admissions are they're honest replies. So meaning that if the background investigator were to go back in this applicant's history, there's no way that they would even find out unless they recently used marijuana and there's a drug test. There is no way, you guys. I mean, obviously, if somebody spills the beans, then yes. But a lot of these disqualifications are based on self-admissions. Self-admissions. And the applicant was being completely honest. I just don't understand.